On today's episode, I'll be exploring the connection between fasting and essentially healing the adrenals and recovering from stress and trauma. Welcome to the Holistic Life Navigation Channel. I'm your host, Luis Mujica. I'm a somatic educator and nutritionist, and I'm here to explore every aspect of life through the lens of somatic psychology, nutrition, and philosophy. Let's dive in. Fasting is an amazing technique. It's a great strategy for illness. It's a medicine for the body on many levels, and it can be a beautiful spiritual experience. There are so many reasons why we fast. One thing that I find important to say is that the human body ancestrally knows how to fast. We evolved through fasting because of inaccessibility to food. And certain religions, certain spiritual practices and lineages relied on fasting to bring them closer to God or enlightenment, or even to keep their bodies clean or healed or open to receive certain information and experiences. So there's a lot of different reasons why we fast. One thing that happens during fasting is your body gets a break from all the energy and work in digesting food. So instead of digesting the food, the energy goes toward cleaning up the body. This process is called autophagy. It's also called autolyzation, which essentially means the body eating itself. So when there's an extended calorie deficit, the body will start to shift itself over to stored calories. And it finds these stored calories through triglycerides often. Triglycerides are how your body stores carbohydrates and excess calories as fat. Sometimes in the liver, sometimes in the muscles, sometimes even in your arteries and in your circulatory system, which is what can cause a clogged artery and which causes high cholesterol when triglycerides build up in the arteries. So fasting actually helps you get to these triglycerides, and your body starts burning them in order to make enough calories to fuel your system. This is also known as ketosis, when your body starts running off of fat reserves to create glucose for your cells in your brain, rather than the calories or the food that's coming into your body. So fasting is this way where the animal body redirects itself from kind of a resting state into a survival state. And in the state of survival starts to go after all these things in the body that are stored or even no longer needed. So triglycerides, for example, like I already spoke about, would be what I'm talking about around stored calories for future use. And this is why if you tend to overeat and you don't have fasting, or you don't have, let's say, like a modulated input and output of calories, you will tend to gain weight, especially internal fat, visceral fat that's around your organs. That kind of fat has the most detrimental effects on your health because it slows down the ability for your organs to work and metabolize certain things. Take the liver, for example. When the liver is filled with triglycerides, when it's fatty, and there's a term, non-alcoholic fatty liver, you can't digest or metabolize stress hormones. So the liver's job is to pull stress hormones out of the blood when they build up. You can't get rid of the stress hormones as quickly when the liver is impaired in its function because of triglycerides. So fasting works to remove those triglycerides from your liver, which increases so many different health benefits for your body when your liver is functioning more optimally. Another thing fasting does is it gets at these structures in the body that you no longer need. Protein structures, specifically things like cysts, polyps, certain tumors, and different growths that could lead to something malignant like cancer. Fasting has been shown in the autolyzation process or period to start reducing and even excavating or digesting them from your body. So fasting is this really excellent way to clean up the body of anything excessive that isn't helping it. That's one reason why it's called fasting. It's a shortcut to health. One thing that isn't explored is the relationship between someone, let's say, with chronic stress or anxiety or PTSD, and fasting, and what role that plays in the recovery of stress and trauma. When I'm working with someone that has really high levels of anxiety, which means high levels of adrenaline in their body, so someone that has insomnia, someone that has a hard time digesting food, someone who's really jittery, who has panic attacks very often, this kind of person is not who I recommend fasting to. I recommend it in the future, and I recommend the first step to be intermittent fasting, which I'll get into in a moment. But I don't recommend full-on water fasting or juice fasting to this person, because when fasting turns on your survival response, it turns on your adrenals. And a lot of these catalysts and a lot of these situations that happen in the body, these different metabolic processes, These are happening because adrenaline is fueling your body and putting it into survival mode. So I don't recommend increasing the amount of adrenaline you have in your system when you're trying to recover from stress and trauma, especially when you have active symptoms of PTSD, like I just described. What I recommend is to eat within 1 hour of waking and have that meal be something that is filled with beans, some kind of good protein, and vegetables. When you have vegetables, beans, and protein, you have a beautiful group of fats, of soluble fibers, and of vitamins and minerals that are going to balance your blood sugar levels and support your adrenals through the day rather than waking up and stimulating them. A lot of people that I meet who fast or intermittent fast will start their day with coffee, which is a huge stimulant, major stimulant for the adrenals. Again, this is not bad if you don't have chronic stress or you're not under the symptoms or the expressions of PTSD. But if you are, you're better off not having caffeine in the morning and starting your morning out with a grounding meal. Now, one thing I want to say about intermittent fasting, this is a great bridge toward a larger fast should you want to do that for some reason, spiritually, personally, medically, whatever the purpose is. Intermittent fasting is when you stop eating food for a certain amount of time and only eat in a specific eating window. The most common is an 8-16, meaning 8 hours of eating, 16 hours of not eating. That fast in and of itself has been shown to actually repair the adrenals, balance the blood sugar levels, and lower inflammation because you don't have as many insulin responses because you're eating less through the day. What's lovely about that fast as well is you can still follow my guideline of eating within 1 hour of waking up. So if I wake up at 6 o'clock and I eat at 7, my last meal could be at 3. And for a lot of people, that might be okay. If you wake up at 8 and your first meal is at 9, your last meal might be at 5, which is even easier for a lot of people. I'm not suggesting you have to do this, but the 8 hour eating window is a fantastic way to still get some of the benefits of fasting without the over adrenalization of your body. By the way, I don't think adrenalization is a real word, but I like to use it and it makes sense. So I'm going to keep using it. So consider this when you think about fasting. Tons of benefits, tons of spiritual benefits, health benefits, even mental benefits. I have loved fasting throughout my life. I've done juice fasts, I've done herbal fasts, I've done herbal tea fasts, I've done water fasts, and I've done intermittent fasting. I've had the most success with intermittent fasting because it seems to support my nervous system and my blood sugar levels and my adrenals much more than any other kind of long fast. However, if you want to do longer fasting, if you want to do 24-hour water fast or a 3-day water fast or a 10-day juice fast, there are a couple things you can include that are going to help you move through this fast with less stress to your system. The one thing is herbal tea. Herbal tea is an amazing ally when you're fasting because it nourishes you, it can help balance your blood sugar levels, it can give you clarity in your brain or your thinking or your thoughts, and it doesn't contribute to a calorie increase. So you'll still be in a calorie deficit, which allows the fast to do its job of cleaning things up. Nettle tea, which I'm drinking this morning, one of my absolute favorite teas while fasting because of its high content of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is amazing at balancing the blood sugar, and chlorophyll will actually clean the blood and help support the liver and the kidneys to detoxify, which is quite important because when you're fasting, you have a lot more metabolic waste in your bloodstream than when you're not fasting. So a lot of times you'll feel sick or even overwhelmed because of the amount of metabolic waste being released when you fast. Which brings me to my second tip, psyllium husk powder. Psyllium husk powder is an amazing, amazing ally and friend while you fast because psyllium husk powder, again, no calories, so you'll keep fasting. The soluble fiber that becomes like a gel-like sponge in your intestines will help you have bowel movements while you're fasting, which is very helpful because all those toxins are going into your colon. One mistake we make when we do fasts or any kind of cleanse is the increase in metabolic waste that's created from the cleanse or the fast doesn't get to go anywhere. It just kind of sits in the body. But having a soluble fiber, that a non-nutritive one, meaning there's no calories or nutritional value, so it keeps you in the fasting state, will allow the body to release and detoxify any metabolic waste or toxins that go to the colon or the intestine when you're doing a fast or any kind of juice or any kind of cleanse or detox. So I strongly recommend psyllium husk. The way I take it is anywhere between 1 to 3 teaspoons per cup of water. You pour it in, you mix it up, you drink it down. And I would do that based on how many meals you normally eat. So if you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you're fasting, have it when you would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it keeps your body regular and it keeps you detoxifying those wastes that are going to the colon and the intestinal tract. These two are my favorite things to do in terms of blood sugar balancing to keep my body less stressed. But the other thing is something you can do that's lifestyle based, and it has to do with the screen and what you're taking in. When you're fasting, again, your body is in a survival state and is working really hard to convert stored glucose and calories into something usable, into usable energy. And it does that by adrenalizing you. So any extra stimulant or irritation or stress while you're fasting can wreak havoc on your nervous system and your adrenals, meaning you end the fast much more stressed than you started it. And that doesn't sound very balanced for me, especially when you're trying to recover from stress and trauma and you're using fasting as a way to do that. So make sure during the fast to not take in too much media. Don't do too much connection with your eyes with a screen. Take in as much natural light as you can. Light candles in the evening to even not take in that much electric light. Taking a break from the light that comes from these screens, as well as the content that comes from these screens, will greatly reduce the stress on your nervous system and your brain, which can already be quite hyper stressed and hyper aroused from the excess adrenaline that comes with fasting. Try this out, see where it goes, see how you feel, and let me know any questions you have in the comments. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful, and let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next.